Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Roma, starring Yalitza Aparicio, Marina de Tavira, Diego Cortina Autry, Carlos Peralta, Marco Graf, Daniela de Mesa, Nancy Garcia, and Veronica Garcia, and directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Now, before I get into this review, I watched this twice on Netflix. Yes, I have a Netflix account in case anybody doesn't know that. I'm not going to tell you what my account is. And I've seen this director's work, Alfonso Cuarón, and I've liked them so far. For example, and hell, I've reviewed one of his movies before. Remember from a few months ago? Because this is my first two viewings, will I like it? Let's get into it. I do like the location of where the house is, and we start the movie off with the cleaning of the entrance, and we see an airplane or two, and how can they keep the long shots going without boring us to death? Well, that's what the opening credits are for despite it. If I don't know what it's saying. There's a dog in this movie out of many, but this one named Boras, and I think he's cute. He's a cute looking doggy. This opening sequence is one boring long shot, but I do like the movie being shot in black and white. Cleo, played by Yalitza Aparicio, is a house servant, and Senora Sofia, played by Marina de Tavira, who will have a sad situation throughout the movie, but the kids, Tono, played by Diego Cortina, Autry, Paco, played by Carlos Peralta, Pepe, played by Marco Graf, and Sophie, played by Daniela de Mesa. And oh my god, that family is so dysfunctional. Because of their father, San Antonio, who's married to Senora Sofia, and honestly, I kind of like the family, except Senor Antonio. He's a jackass for having an affair with a nurse, which is so unfortunate. And he complains about the dog crap in the driveway, in which Cleo cleans every single day. But the character I'm connecting with is Cleo. But the character I haven't talked about yet is another character I kind of connect with, is Senora Teresa, played by Veronica Garcia. And that's it. Overall, this family is so dysfunctional because of their father. Despite this is shot in black and white, I'm enjoying the cinematography, and the shots are fantastic, but it's not enough for me, plus the movie is very slowly paced. There are times I wanted to check how much more movie I have left. Cleo's boyfriend, Furman, is another asshole in this movie, and the shot of him naked was pretty distracting while he does his martial arts moves in front of Cleo, and later in the film he tells him she's pregnant and walks out on her and calls her a fucking servant. And I was glad when he was done by the end of that scene later in the film, because he was an asshole in my opinion. The marching band that passes by on some days is rather distracting for this movie. There are a lot of out of the blue shots, like bands marching and dogs and airplanes and a Krampus looking thing singing, which I'll talk about later. It was very distracting to me. Cleo tells Senora Sofia about her pregnancy and takes her to a doctor who's also a friend of hers named Dr. Velez, and Sofia talks with another friend named Professor or Dr. something. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. And in that moment, I was like bored to death. The cabin Sofia and Cleo are at for New Year's have a party in some Mexican Krampus, in which I don't know what in the world that is. It was rather random, and Cleo goes outside for air, and the next thing you know, the forest or the mountain where their cabin is at catches on fire. Or I should say the woods. What am I saying? And the problem with that scene is that they don't use a hose. They use buckets of water. And I thought, Call the fire department, for Christ's sakes. And the Mexican Krampus sings while the fire was going should have been cut out, because what the fuck was that all about? That bothered me also. This is a boring movie that is slowly paced, like I said at the beginning, and nothing's happening. And don't get me wrong, this movie is very well made, but it's just boring in general. But I'll give it this to Alfonso Cuarón. The directing is very well done, and I don't believe this deserves the Best Picture, but it does deserve Best Director because of how well he tells the story, despite it can be boring at times. Cleo and Senora Teresa shop for a baby crib, and there's a violent protest going on where a couple get killed, and so does Furman, who points a gun at Cleo when her water breaks, and they rush to the hospital while in labor. And they get to the hospital, and the baby, as the baby is born, is dead, which did make me cry on the inside, and it hurts to see a dead baby as it's born. I felt moved by that, and serious kudos to Alfonso Cuarón to making me care a little at this point. After Cleo's devastatingly tragic situation, the family invites her to go on a vacation to Tuxpan, while the father is picking up his things like a bunch of bookcases. And they're there because the father and Senora Sofia are getting a divorce. And the mother tells them while on vacation was, I thought, the worst time ever on a vacation. I mean, Jesus. While they're waiting for a car, there's a wedding going on in the background, which is rather ironic, but because they're getting a divorce and the people in the background are getting married. But was weird for ironic reasons, and I already brought them up. And they go to the beach one more time, and Cleo saves Sophie and Paco from drowning, despite she can't swim in the water. And the family goes around them to see if they're okay. It was a powerful moment of the film. Hell, it's even on the poster for one thing. And they come home with no bookcases, and Cleo climbs the stairs as the movie is over, and I really like the ending of everyone's fine by the end of the day. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 4.8 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, this movie is well made and well directed, and Alfonso Cuarón deserves the Oscar for Best Director, but this movie is boring, slowly paced, and there were some shots that were very distracting, and I can connect with Cleo and Senora Teresa, but overall, I don't think it's a great film, nor is it a bad film. At best, it was fine, but I didn't like it either way. It's fine at best. But I should say Alfonso Cuarón deserves the Best Director trophy. And I would like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Green Book. And until next time, and the Oscar goes to...